Woo! Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, dogs, cats, donkeys, camels, and anyone else out there that's tuning in to the Floating Raft Professional Builders course. I am your instructor, your educator, Brooklyn, St Mickel with the School of Aquaponics. And what we're going to be going over is a complete build of a floating raft system. We're going to be going over the instructions, going over the details, going over how to put yourself together a floating raft on a professional level. So pay attention, be attentive, and take notes. So I want to start off first by saying welcome once again. And now what I want to do is introduce you to the system that we're going to be putting together. So I want to start off giving a quick overview and a quick breakdown of the specs that go along with this system. So starting off, like I said, this is a floating raft unit. And those of you who don't know or are not familiar with a floating raft unit, it is basically a material that sits on top of a body of water that floats on the surface of the water, where plants are inserted inside of the material that is floating on the water, and that's where the nutrients are provided. They're able to have access to water, nutrients, oxygen, and the things that are required for the growth and development of a plant. So with that being said, it's pretty much the quick gist of it. We learn more about it in other courses. In the Aquaponic Guide course, we'll get more in detail into it. But with that being said, let's go over the specs of this system so you can know exactly what to expect out of a system of this size, how much plants you can produce, and how much fish can be produced from this size of a system. Now, what I want you to keep in mind is that this system can be altered in various ways. It can be expanded, it can be reduced. It's a variety of ways that this system can be put together, but I'm just going to give you the specs on this particular system. And then once you learn, you're able to take the schematics, the blueprint from this system, and you can alter it however you want to do it, whichever way you want to do it. And you'll understand that more as we go on in further lectures and as you learn more about how aquaponics work and sizing the system for your particular needs. So let's start off with discussing the size of the hydroponic component or the floating raft unit. This floating raft unit is 5.9 square meters. That is the size of it. It's an 8x8 unit and it's 5.9 square meters. With that being said, it's going to, in order to support this, this floating raft unit, the plants that are going to be on it, it's going to be provided 80 grams per square meter per day. Now, it's 80 grams because this is going to be for large vegetables. Large vegetables. So larger vegetables require more feed. And when you're doing a floating raft unit, the feeding rate is between 60 and 100 grams per square meter. That is the standard feeding rate for a floating raft unit. And that will depend primarily on the type of crops that are being grown. So for this particular system, it is going to be larger crops that are going to be growing out fully to maturity. Things like cabbage, kale on a large mature kale, large mature Swiss chard, things of that nature is what is going to be grown in this particular system. So 80 grams per square meter per day is going to, which is going to equate to 472 grams per day of feed, and this is feed. 472 grams of feed per day, and then when we convert that, that's 0.47 kilograms per day. And then it'll be 172 kilograms of feed per year, which will equal to 101 kilograms of annual fish weight gain. We'll have 222 fish harvested annually out of this system, and the fish weight is going to be 111 kilograms of weight per year. That's how much fish weight we're going to get per year out of this system. The harvest schedule is going to be every 12 weeks. Now, this is something that you can alter when you figure out how to alter and figure out the calculations when you go through that. You can alter this. This is going to be every 12 weeks of harvest. Your system might be every 4 weeks. Your system might be every 1 week. Your system might be every 6 months. It just depends on how you want to do your calculations. But for this system, it's just going to be every 12 weeks. Now, when you break that down, every 12 weeks, that's going to require 2 tanks for the tilapia that we're growing. 2 tanks. And then that's going to be a harvest, a 4.3 harvest per year. And it's going to be 26 kilograms per harvest. That's how much fish weight we're going to get. 26 kilograms of fish weight per harvest. So the tanks that are required for this setup are a 0.43 cubic meters, which is 97.6 gallons of tank volume. And remember, there's 2 tanks. So what I did for this setup is you're going to get a large, whatever is required for the tank volume, you're always going to go larger. So these tanks here are 126 gallon tanks. 126 gallon tanks, because you need to have, you don't want your water filled all the way to the brim. So you need to have room. So it requires 97.6 gallons or 0.43 cubic meters. I need a tank that's larger than that, so I'm not filling the water all the way up to the brim. You have to have freeboard space in order to have a little bit of space to work with. So from there, we have, like I said, we have 126 gallons for each of the tanks, and each tank is going to be stocked with 52 fish per stocking. 52 fish per stocking, and we're going to add a 10% mortality rate on there. We're going to account for 10%. We're going to expect 10% to die off from natural causes and just bad genetics. So total, we're going to put in there, when we add the 10% on there, we're going to add 57 fish total per stocking. So these are the specs for this setup here. And like I said, once you learn the calculations and the formula, you will be able to go through, if this is the system that you want to build, you'll be able to go through, swap things out, expand things, reduce things. You'll be able to change things at your leisure and at your whatever's recommended for your particular setup. So that's very, very important for you to keep in mind. The purpose of this course here is to show you basically the process of putting together a aquaponic system, a floating raft system. So we just want to pretty much go through it, show you how the setup goes, and then from there, just you'll get an idea on how it works, and you can be able to customize a system to whatever fits your needs. So that's pretty much the purpose of this setup. And this is always the first things you want to do, is get your specs right before you even go out and build. You need to have your specs down before you go out and touch anything. So that's exactly what we went through here. And then from there, you go out and you'll be able to get the tank sizes. You'll be able to find the hydroponic bed size that you want, all these things, the pump sizes, all this comes into play, but the specs are the primary thing that you need to have first in order to have your system have a correct balance. So with that being said, this is the specs for this system. So let's jump right into starting getting the building process down, and I will see you in the next lecture.